I'm very pleased to say, and I hope that I'm not speaking too soon, and I promise you I don't intend to sound sarcastic, that Kier Starmer seems to be taking the national security risk of small boats coming to the UK a little bit more seriously. He spoke today at the Interpol event at the Interpol General Assembly in Glasgow, and he had the following to say about small boats, and he seems to be taking it a little bit seriously. So I will talk up a little bit about it in this video, but first of all, let's see what he actually said.
So I will work with anyone serious who can offer solutions on this. Anyone. Because without coordinated global action, it will not go away. And unless we bring all the powers we have to bear on this, in much the same way as we do for terrorism, then we will struggle to bring these criminals to justice. And that, in a sense, is my message here today. People smuggling should be viewed as a global security threat similar to terrorism.
And so by treating people smuggling, aka small boat arrivals to the UK, and the people smuggling those people to the UK by small boat, he says should be treated in a similar way to terrorism as a global security threat. So not just a threat to the UK, but a global security threat. And so he speaks to a group of ministers and senior officers at the Interpol General Assembly in Glasgow to seek their cooperation and coordination to try to eliminate this problem. Now, further reported in the BBC, he also says, in addition to treating the people smugglers like terrorists, they're taking the same approach to counter-terrorism, which we know works, he said, and applying it to these gangs. Now, a lot of people have criticised. Now, there's probably some scope for criticism, but also some of it may be unfair. But he's said that he's going to treat this situation in the same way that he treated smashing drugs gangs and so on. And he treats these people smuggling gangs in the same way. And so it is approaching this to try to eliminate this problem at source. Now, there is a problem with that. I'll come back to that in a minute. But he says we've got to combine resources, share intelligence and tactics, tackle the problem upstream, working together to shut down the smuggling routes. Now, the reason that I think this will work, starting on a positive note, the reason that I think this could actually work, in addition to the extra resources, which again I'll come back to in a minute, one reason this might work is that they do this with drugs networks. And so whilst they haven't completely eliminated those, it is an ongoing thing, of course. But what they aim to do is shut down or freeze the bank accounts and the resources and the assets that are linked with those sort of illicit activities in an attempt to shut it down. Of course, it's an ongoing problem and they've never completely eliminated it, but that is one way that it might work. One way that it might not work is that it does depend on the cooperation of other states. Now, much as I've said that one way of doing this would just be to stop all of the resources that they get here in the UK for free and to stop the boats physically, turn them back, take them back to France, etc. People ask, why can't we just do that? Well, here's the reason that all of that might not work and why that in itself doesn't necessarily work. And that is because, well, twofold, really. First of all, France have not agreed to take them back. And secondly, there is a duty of care for those that are in our waters. Once they've crossed from French waters to British waters, they are under our duty of care. And so there is obviously an onus on the state here to ensure that they are kept reasonably safe. And there is no direct agreement with France to win them back. Now, one might say and be a little bit cavalier about it and say that it might call for a bit of rule bending or breaking to take them back to France, whether they like it or not. But obviously that will be an international situation and obviously raise the tensions with France, because just taking them back without any agreement to do so is obviously going to cause trouble between the two nations. Nonetheless, it will depend on this cooperation. If there were cooperation with France to do that, then that would obviously work better. But in the meantime, the Border Security Command, the BSC, is going to be supported in a number of ways with new legislation. I'm not sure what form that will take yet. I will tell you about it when I learn about it. The government said that it will pass new laws to give those tackling smuggling gangs enhanced powers to trace subjects' movements and freeze their bank accounts. And so, again, as I said, upstream, looking at the origins of all of these people that are organizing this and trying to freeze their assets to make it essentially not workable for them. And if it's not workable, then they should stop doing it. That's the plan, anyway. But in addition, 300 staff to strengthen the global partnership and deliver new legislation. Additional 100 specialist investigators and intelligence officers for the National Crime Agency to tackle the criminals involved in the smuggling. New technology around advanced data exploitation to boost collaboration with European partners investigating trafficking networks. Creating new specialist intelligence unit examining the information from key police forces. Boosting the CPS ability to deliver charging decisions more quickly on international organised crime cases. So again, all of this focused on the people that are organising it rather than the people that are actually being brought over here. But Mr. Saunders on BBC Radio 4, who was Chief Immigration Officer for Ports, said, unfortunately, what he said he's trying to do is just not feasible. He said the UK would only be able to prosecute and jail people smugglers in the UK, and the majority of people smugglers are actually based in the Middle East and Turkey. Under the UK asylum system, you can't deport failed asylum seekers who destroy documents, and that's essentially because you can't prove where they came from, and so you can't take them back, meaning you can't force another country to take them back if they've failed asylum, because you can't prove where they came from. A Conservative Party spokesperson said it's a shame that Starmer's not recognised the extent of the crisis in the Channel sooner, as he and the Labour Party voted against numerous measures to stop the gangs while they were in opposition. If Starmer continues to ignore the need for a deterrent to stop migrants crossing the Channel, there'll be more deaths in the Channel as more and more migrants continue to cross it. And the numbers in support of all the arguments are quite staggering. In total, more than 27,500 people made it across so far this year, which is more than the same period in 2023. And this obviously makes the situation far more serious. But all of these new measures are to be supported by an extra £75 million to police the UK borders, taking the total for the Border Security Command to £150 million. But again, coming back to the comments of the previous immigration chief, Mr. Kevin Saunders, said these changes would not deter illegal migrants from coming to the UK and stop small boat crossings. So it does really leave the question as to what we can do about it. Now, I've been vocal on this over on X. If you're on X, do hop over and follow me there as well. It may well mean that there needs to be some kind of maverick action taken by this government to actually physically stop these boats from coming across for their own safety, of course, because it is extremely dangerous to cross the Channel in a boat that isn't really designed for that sort of thing, and take them back to France. But of course, there is no actual agreement to do so, and doing so may be in breach of several laws. But it may be something that this government has to consider, because really, what is the alternative? The alternative is, as they say, going up the chain to stop the people smugglers and all of this sort of stuff. But experts, including the former immigration chief, Mr. Saunders, say that these new changes or deterrents are simply not going to work to stop these small boat crossings. But to give you an idea of the magnitude of this problem, more than 5,400 people have crossed the Channel in small boats in October alone. This is the highest monthly figure for a couple of years now, since October 2022. To give you an idea of the massive scale of this problem, the maximum capacity of the Royal Albert Hall in Scotland is 5,500 people. So roughly the same amount of people have crossed the Channel that would fill to capacity the Royal Albert Hall in October this year alone. So this is a serious problem. So I think it does cause for some serious action. But of course, that will require some serious conversations. But anyway, in the meantime, please do like my video and subscribe. That helps my channel grow to reach a wider audience, to bring to you my thoughts on this channel. And as always, thank you for watching.